Are you listening? Damn.
On this episode of the Endurance Hour podcast, how to try on a budget, especially for newbies, how to avoid burnout during training, how your running effort translates to better fitness, choosing the right strength training plan, weights and reps, and are tri bikes worth the investment? The Endurance Hour podcast starts right now. We begin with Kathy, who writes, "Hi Wendy, I'm a total newbie to all things endurance. My goal for 2022 is to register for my first triathlon in late fall. I like to start with a sprint and eventually move up to the Olympic distance. My biggest questions and concerns probably have to do with getting the right bicycle, helmet, shoes, wetsuit, and so on. Thanks for any tips, tricks that you can share." What's your advice to Kathy?
Kathy, congratulations for getting into the multi-sport lifestyle. I recommend that you go to Endurance Hour YouTube channel and search for my video that we put together called Triathlon Then and Now, where I talk about what I used to use 30 years ago when I started the sport relative to what I use now. And just to kind of comment on that is, what do you need to do a triathlon? You need a swimsuit, you need a bike, a helmet, a shirt, shorts, and a pair of running shoes. So you can go very minimalistic if you want to keep it cost effective. And you can even, you can spend as much or as little as you want on the sport, as long as you have like the basics of a bike, a helmet, running shoes, and a swimsuit. You can go pretty far with just the basics. Now, to talk about, where, when you really get into it, you're thinking, road bike, tri-bike, the expense that goes along with buying a bike. You want to be knowledgeable about the expense. Usually has to do with the components on the bike, as well as what the bike is made out of: titanium, steel, carbon, aluminum. That's going to impact the cost of the bike. So you want to do some research on that. And go back to what was her original question? I'm kind of going off on equipment.
Just getting the right bike, the right equipment, the right racing suit or swimsuit, because she's totally new and she wants to move up into it, but she's concerned about having to get all the stuff that's right to start racing.
Right, and I just started coaching a beginner, very beginner that sounds like you, and we were talking about what she's going to race in her sprint in 3 weeks. And just by her talking to me and her talking to other athletes, which I advise you to do, is kind of see what others are doing. But at the same time, you want to make sure you do what's right for you. We talked about her doing the swim because it's warm water in her swimsuit. No, she doesn't want to invest in a wetsuit. And then when she gets to transition, she's going to put on, cycling shorts. So she's not even wearing a tri-kit, which is usually a one piece that you zip up in the front and you do the whole event in a tri-suit. She's not going to do that because she doesn't feel like there's enough time to purchase that and get used to it. So she's going to wear her swimsuit, she's going to throw on cycling shorts, and then she might throw on like a tank top or some sort of running shirt for the run if she wants to cover up her body more. I mean, that's kind of what I used to do. I was looking at old pictures of me doing the whole race. Sometimes I'd do the whole event in just my swimsuit. Sometimes I'd actually put like a tank top, baggy cycling jersey and do the whole bike and the run in that. Some events I'm just wearing cycling shorts in my swimsuit. So it's really, you want to find what's comfortable for you, especially if it's your first one. And then after your first one, you figure out, by doing it and watching what other people are using, and just kind of thinking, how much do you want to invest in it? Because a tri-suit, this one piece that I'm talking about, that's going to be over $100 value. A tri-bike relative to a mountain bike or a road bike, it could be a couple $1,000 more of an investment. And then, running shoes, it's important to invest in a good quality pair of running shoes so you are healthy and you don't get hurt wearing something old or non-running shoe brand shoes.
I can see that Kathy says she's a total newbie to all things endurance, but check to see if you have any local tri clubs and if you can get involved. Depends on how far out your race is. For her, she's doing something in late fall. There's always a chance to borrow someone's stuff, especially when it comes to a wetsuit. You can just
Oh, yeah.
hand around a wetsuit. I mean, those just seem like the most expensive, shortest used item for triathlon because half hour, 45 minutes, and then you've already put hundreds of dollars into a wetsuit. Just borrow someone else's and go with that as test it out to see if it's okay for you. Same thing with other gear, whether it's race belts, little accessories here and there, someone's visor or a tri suit. If you have a tri team that's nearby, people are like they want to upgrade or they want to move on to a different quality shirt or suit, whatever. What are they going to do with their old ones? They usually don't find tri suits at Goodwill. They usually get tossed or someone else wants to hand me downs. I think it's kind of a smart idea to ask around and get to make some new friends that way.
Right. And even a borrowed bike. Like I did my very first triathlon 30 years ago on a mountain bike. And then I quickly upgraded to a road bike after borrowing and using my friends' bikes in future races. So I rode bikes with clipless pedals, had no idea how to clip in. So I would ride the whole thing without being clipped in. I would borrow their cycling shoes and borrow these bikes that didn't fit me. And until I could afford to, go shopping for a road bike. And I ended up riding a road bike for 14 or 16 years before I actually invested in a triathlon style of bike. And so, again, it's your first one. You want to have fun with it, and you don't necessarily need to spend a whole lot of money the first year until how far is it going to take you? Are you going to stick to a certain distance? Are you going to try to go faster, try to go farther? And there are tools and gadgets out there for both to help you go faster as well as farther, but get the experience first and then kind of figure it out.
Yeah, and see if you want to be in the sport long term. You don't want to invest thousands of dollars into something you do for 1 year or just a couple of races. Test it out and be a finisher. Just finish a race, complete it, and then see if you want to be competitive. It just so happens this is I got Triathlete Magazine's latest issue. This was January 2022, February, and in it has try on a budget. So this is perfect for Kathy's question and anybody who's planning their 2022 year. It has this generic person. I think this actually might be based on the person, but $600 is what a decent starting price based on the following criteria. This person found a modified bike used for $200. They bought it at a place called Play It Again Sports Used. Or go to a garage sale and find a bike. A wetsuit, $120 on sale from Xterra's website. A race entry, that's kind of non-negotiable, but could be $100, depends on the distance that you do. Running shoes, get a good quality pair, $100 for one of those possibly. Tri-suit, you can get one used, maybe look at eBay. Helmet, $30 to $40. Again, look on Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, something like that, or again, borrow one. The one-day USAT membership is $15, non-negotiable there, but you need one of those. Goggles, $15 to $20. You can get those on sale. Go to Amazon. There's plenty of good deals out there. Get a couple of pair just to try them on, make sure they fit, and just in case they leak. Sunglasses, you can get a $5 pair of sunglasses. Was it? Now I'm drawing a blank. They're famous professional triathlete who bought a pair at a local convenience store for $5, Aviators, and it became his signature sunglasses. He's at a bend. Gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but you get a $5 pair of sunglasses just for the run part of it.
Yep, I remember I had when I started a pair of sunglasses from the dollar store.
Yeah, so easy.
And sunglasses aren't necessarily they're not needed. They're good to have, but you don't really need them to do well in a triathlon.
The last one here, and this is, I guess, based on a sprint, training plan. Find one online. We offer a free one for, I think it's 8 weeks. I can't remember what it is, but on endurancehour.com.
Yeah, 8 weeks to your first sprint distance triathlon.
It's a free sprint triathlon plan. That way you have something structured to follow along. Otherwise, there's lots of other plans that are generic out there that you can find for free. So this was just under $600 that I outlined for you. Triathlon on a budget for your first time. And you can get cheaper if you borrow things from friends. So
yeah, that's a really good advice.
Yeah. Good question, Kathy. I hope that provides some value to others who are listening as well. Speaking of others, we had a couple of requests from our T2 Endurance group on Facebook, which is a closed private group. We have, I think it's 600 members or so in the group, 683 to be exact, and we've got 2 requests to join, and I interacted with somebody today about their interest in it. Tell people about what the group is and how to get involved.
So we started the T2 Endurance group when my company, T2 Coaching, and your company, Endurance Hour, kind of joined forces. I believe it was in 2016, and it was just kind of to attract athletes, endurance athletes, beginners, advanced, any level, to have some community to support, to be in a safe place to ask questions. Lots of these athletes in the group have purchased a training plan from us, and they may have questions if they post in the group about their plan or anything, health, fitness, and sport related. We chat in the group, as well as sometimes we offer monthly challenges, weekly challenges. And it's just, I think, again, a safe place to go if you're feeling intimidated or overwhelmed and you have a lot of questions. It's a nice place to go.
And we vet people. We have them answer 3 questions. That way we don't just get random people in the group. That's why it's private. And we ask them 3 questions. How'd you hear about the group? What are you training for or interested in? And do you have a Training Peaks account? And why do we ask them about Training Peaks?
Most endurance athletes have heard of Training Peaks, so we know they're real, and we know a lot of people who answer that question know about Training Peaks because they have a coach who coaches them with Training Peaks, or they've purchased one of our many training plans on Training Peaks.
And you can find a link directly to all our training plans by going to endurancehour.com. We've got a couple dozen there. So the first one is from Gary, and Gary got an email from Wendy after purchasing one of our triathlon plans, and he's interested in a sprint triathlon, and he does have a Training Peaks account, which is free. You can upgrade these things, but it is free, the basic account. So we're going to approve Gary. He'll be member 684. Next gentleman is Logan, and he requested here, and I looked into him a little bit I like to look at their profiles to see if they're actually endurance athletes or multi-sport athletes, what their interests are. And I didn't see anything really stand out, so I messaged him. He said he heard about us through YouTube because we have a couple thousand videos on YouTube. He's interested in a sprint triathlon. I said, do you have a Training Peaks account? He goes, no, but I did see them. Will most likely train with it. So I messaged him. I said, what is it about triathlon that interests you? Do you know other people who do it? And do you have a tri club nearby? I think he's in Monterey or somewhere in California. And he replied back today. He goes, I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, grew up around a lot of people who did do it, committed to bodybuilding, and now want to tackle a sprint. Currently, I don't know anyone who does it, but I believe there is a tri club here. So awesome. At least, he's interested and he's real. And so we're going to welcome Logan to the group as well. So if you see Logan inside, welcome him and say hi. So those are the newest members to the T2 Endurance Club on Facebook. Next up, we got a question from Dave, yours truly, me, Dave. And it has to do with swimming because we don't have any other swimming questions, but I got a swimming question for Wendy and everybody else out there who is starting their season now and maybe has a late season big race like I do, Ironman Arizona. And I was asking Wendy this before we pressed record. At what point do you stop with the big yardage, or how many yards is too far to swim in one session for fear, for me, of burning out? I've been practicing personally the 2.4 mile swim nonstop just to get an idea of how long it'll take me in the pool. So I've been doing 4,300 yards pretty consistently this month. And then the other day I went a little bit longer, and then after a while I'm thinking, I don't want to get burned out by a huge volume, like 5,000 yards at a time, because do I need that? And I don't want swimming to be a burden or like, oh my God, I have to do a lot of yards. Can you do smaller amounts and still be successful in the longer distances? At what point is too many yards to swim? And Wendy does have some feedback for me and others who might have a similar question.
Well, when I first heard you, when we talked about this, I was thinking, okay, first you want to define burnout. Like, what does it mean for you to be burned out? What does it mean to you? Could mean a little bit something different to other people. And then to be successful, what does success mean to you? generally when you do over distance of any sport, and I'm going to stick to multi-sport here, if you do over your race distance swimming or over distance biking, where let's say you're training for a 70.3 where the distance is 56 miles and you do your long rides up to 60, 70 miles or longer for that distance of racing. And even the long run, it's, for a half Ironman, it's 13 miles. But let's say you do over distance in your training, like 14 or 16 miles. The reason you do over distance is to work the aerobic energy system, to dial in your fueling, to get your tendons, bones, ligaments, and muscles a little bit more resilience and stronger. And that mental capacity to actually do the distance, it gives you confidence as well as, all the physical things that come with aerobic conditioning and resistance to fatigue and injury. So in the pool, it's the same thing. Like you're training for 2.4 miles and you just swam 5K. I've never had an triathlete swim longer than 5K in their training. And when I have built them up to a 5K, they're swimming their 5K in the race specificity part of their plan, usually about 8 to 12 weeks out from race day. So in your case, to swim a 5K when you're, 6 to 8 months out, I haven't done the calculations, is great. You have confidence, you're enjoying swimming. Keep it up if you want to, yet you don't have to. So there's that want versus do I have to be doing this? I think you did it. You felt good. You're capable of swimming that long. You're a strong swimmer. Go for it. And you'll know when you don't want to anymore. And I don't think it's going to cause you burnout in the sense of how we define burnout. I think it's just going to say, I just don't really want to put in the time or the effort today to do that. You don't have to now in February, March, and you should when you get closer, like October, when you're getting, you're 4 to 6 weeks out from Ironman Arizona. I know you're training for that. And you don't want to overdo that now and not do it then. So if you feel like if there's ever a time where you're feeling burned out, say you do this for a few weeks, for a few months, and then there's that time where you are feeling like, I'm getting bored of this. It's not really increasing my confidence, my strength, my endurance. It's not really doing the things it was doing for me back in February. Then stop doing it and make sure you just do maybe 1 or 2 more to build up that confidence again and that excitement 4 to 6 weeks out from your race. Did that answer your question?
A little bit, yeah. And I think I can limit myself to 5,000. I'll probably limit myself to 5,000 no matter what. But I feel maybe at my level, since I've been doing triathlon for quite a few years, is that I need to do a minimum of probably 3,000 yards to make the time there worthwhile, to make it beneficial. And for me, because I have a big year plan, I've got a half Ironman in June, I got a sprint and Olympic, and they're sprinkled in there afterwards. Then I got the full at the end of the year. Is that one workout a day? Sometimes it just is not enough for me. I mean, I feel like an hour is just that's it. I mean, there's much more to be to accomplish what I want to accomplish. An hour is not enough in the pool. An hour 15, sure, that's one workout, but that's just one workout. Whereas, an hour and a half in the pool seems like that's way too long. But on the trainer, on the bike, an hour and a half is like, all right, now we're getting into the groove. Let me push another half hour or so because I need to be longer on the bike. But the 90 minutes in the swim isn't the 90 minutes on the bike. It's not the same kind of feel. It's like it's too much in the water, but not enough on the bike.
Right, because 90 minutes in the water, you've already gone farther than 2.4 miles. 90 minutes on the bike, you've probably gone anywhere, depending on the route, 20 to 30 to 40 miles. Yeah. And you have to go 112. Mm-hmm. And so when you think about, if you're swimming 5,000, you've just done 25%, I think, if the calculations are right, more than your race distance. Oh, yeah. Whereas if you do 90 minutes on the bike, you've probably completed 25 to 30% of the bike distance that you're training for. And so that's really the biggest difference. And, swimming uses smaller muscle groups. It's just it's fatiguing in a different way than cycling and running. And especially if someone out there is a weaker swimmer, they're going to expend a lot more energy in the water than someone like me, or than an efficient rider who, again, an inefficient rider is going to spend a lot more energy in 90 minutes than an efficient cyclist. And so it really goes back to someone's experience and goals of what they want to do. If you enjoy the swimming, the 5K, I would keep doing it because it's going to get easier and it will help you get faster, and mix it up. Some days do the 5,000 straight, some day do 5 1,000s, do 50 100s, do 150s, do 225s. I mean, there's a lot of different combinations of different types of variety you can do for a 5,000 workout. You can do a 25 hard, 25 easy for 5,000, and that's going to give you a different type of workout adaptation than just doing a continuous 5,000. So there's a lot of ways to structure the workout to keep it up in your program, to keep it more interesting, and that you want to keep doing it. And in the long run, it's only going to benefit you, because when you start to put in more effort for your race, it's going to make that 2.4 miles, number one, just feel really easy because it's less, and you're going to be able to do that faster because it's shorter. Does that all make sense?
It does. And I was thinking about that in my head yesterday during the swim, is that the concept that the fitter you are on your bike, the fitter you will be on the run. The fitter you're on the swim, the fitter and more prepared you are to hit it on the bike. So the more I do this, the easier it's going to be, and I'll have more in the tank, and I won't be burning as much of the tank in preparation for the bike, so I'll be fresher. And it makes sense. I think about other competitive athletes who, the swim was just, that was easy. They haven't even really worked hard yet because they put in the time and they're comfortable out there. The effort's not as hard. So the fitter you are on the water, the fitter you'll be on the bike, which translates to a fitter run. So it all just kind of dominoes to the next one.
Exactly. Matt Dixon, the coach of Purple Pat Fitness, he talks a lot about, and he comes from more of a swimming background himself. He talks a lot about putting in a lot of aerobic volume in the pool, especially in your kind of out of season phase where you're resting your legs from maybe a harder season. And those aerobic benefits that you get in the water will translate onto the bike and onto the run. And so there's just kind of a lot of different theories and philosophies out there about spending time in the water. And I think, hopefully you're not, I know you're not, but anyone out there, hopefully you're not just doing one 5,000 workout a week. Hopefully you're supplementing it with different workouts at different intensities and different lengths and durations to kind of get the big picture of everything.
Yeah. Thank you, Coach, for the answer. And I hope you guys got something out of that as well. Next one, we've got 2 more here for this episode. And this is going to be from Colleen. It has to do with running. She reads here, and I'll do my best because there's not a lot of punctuation. No offense. While running easy and longer, I feel like when I keep a continuous pace, I'm able to run longer without getting too tired compared to when I am doing intervals and switching up pace for different distances. I'm getting tired faster. Sorry, there's no commas in here, so I don't know if it's a good thing or not. I just noticed that across the board with my training, whenever I am doing a continuous pace, then I can go longer. I don't fully understand training myself to do intervals and running faster until I can do even the full 13.1 miles, if that makes sense. It's just something I don't fully understand. Wendy, do you understand?
I do, because I followed up with her. So she's training for a half Ironman.
Okay.
And she's following our 70.3 program on Training Peaks. And she's explaining to me, which has made sense, when she can run easier effort, let's just say on an RPE scale of 1 to 10, she's in the RPE of 4 to 5. She explained to me how she can just run longer at that effort, longer and not get as fatigued. Whereas when she's doing the interval session structured workouts that we give detailed to, where she's doing let's say 5 minutes at an RPE of 8, and then a rest interval, maybe 2 minutes easy, and she's repeating that RPE of 8 for 5 minutes, rest RPE of 3 for 2 minutes, she's getting more fatigued. And she had a hard time understanding that concept because in her mind, all she wants to do is build up to 13 miles. She's not really concerned with the speed, the higher intensity part of it. So she was kind of questioning, why am I doing high intensity? I just want to go the distance. And so, I explained to her, and I actually shared with her a couple of videos we have on Endurance Hour YouTube channel, the long run, the purpose of the long run. And then I have a video of purpose of intervals. So when you run harder effort or pace or heart rate or power, it'll make the easy stuff feel easier, first of all. And when you run longer, you usually run longer at an easier effort. So if you're at an easier effort, that makes your ability to go longer attainable. Whereas if you're running at a hard effort, your chances of keeping that hard effort, sustaining that harder effort for longer when you've never done it before are less achievable. Did I explain that right?
I think so. I follow because I understand the
Yeah.
concept.
So I was explaining her that all the, physiological and mental benefits of doing higher intensity running, harder efforts, like I just explained, to not only make her run faster, but she'll get all these fitness gains. So her easier effort is that much more easier. And then her easier effort will be faster.
Yes.
So she will get faster at an RPE of 4 to 5 because she's including different intensity levels within her training plan.
Yeah. I mean, I could try to say it in other words, but I hope that's as clear as, similar to what you and I are talking about the swimming, is that if I go at an RPE of 8 in the water and I achieve a certain time, but I'm continuing to swim better and better and better, I can make that effort easier and achieve the same time. So my fitness level has increased because the effort's less, but the time is the same. So my effort is less. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to go over this too many more times, but I hopefully made that sense. Makes sense.
Yeah. And so I wanted to include the question on the podcast because I think there's a lot, again, we're talking a lot about beginners today. And I think there's a lot of people out there who've never followed a plan, and the whole concept and all these metrics could be really confusing. The RPE, the pace, the heart rate, the time, the intensity. I mean, there's a lot involved in creating the plans we've created, as well as the individuals that I coach. There's a lot involved in manipulating all these variables for them to be most successful.
Well, we got one here from Tim. And again, this is kind of nice because we are in a beginner episode, seems like it. From Tim, Wendy, I started following your beginner Olympic distance plan on Training Peaks and need some guidelines with the strength workouts you provide. I have access to machines and free weights and have never been on a consistent strength training plan. How do I choose the right weight to use?
Again, it's a question that I could go a lot of directions with this question. When it comes to strength training, if you've never done it or if it's been a while, the most important part is you get into a consistent routine and you start on the easy side with body weight movements, work on your stability, mobility first as you progress to more strength and lifting heavier weights. How much weight do you start with? I always suggest starting, in that like 12 to 15 repetition range. So you're choosing a weight, and it's mostly kind of by trial and error, but error on the side of going lighter than you think you should, and make sure you can get in that 12 to 15 rep range on the, trying to target, the major muscle groups of your body. And then after a couple weeks or a few weeks, then when you know what weight you can handle for, maybe 2 to 3 sets of 12 to 15 repetitions, then you start to increase the training load. And you should always start your first set, if you're doing multiple sets, you should always start light, add some weight, decrease the reps, add some weight, decrease the reps. I think it's always good to really progress that way as you decrease the reps, add the weight, or add the weight, decrease the reps. If you're more advanced and have a little bit more experience and you kind of know what weight and how many repetitions you're lifting now, there's a kind of a way you should try to find your one repetition max. I've personally never done this because I just think it's kind of stressful, and I don't want to. I know for me, I'm one that if I could be on the bench press trying to get my 1 RM and getting the weight stuck on my chest because I'm over ambitious trying to figure that out. But if you do have a little experience and you do want to get your 1 RM max, then there's a way to do some calculations. So, if you know you're 70% of your 1 RM max, then you can lift 10 repetitions. If you know you're 80%, then you're lifting 8. If you know what 90% is, then you're lifting 6 reps. So there is a science and there is a relationship between what percentage of your 1 RM max should be and how many repetitions you can do. But that's a little bit more detailed for a more advanced athlete.
We've covered equipment, swimming question, running question. We do have a bike question here in the last few minutes of the show. And I think this is one of those answers that begins with, it depends. From Gary. He did triathlons a few years ago, decided to take a step back, and now he's getting back into it with a goal of doing a half Ironman in the next 6 months. He had a road bike. He's been riding a road bike for a long time, and everyone says tri bikes are worth the investment. Here's the question. What is the best value bike out there?
Well, we kind of talked about that in an earlier question about, going on Craigslist, going on Facebook Marketplace, going to local tri shops or tri clubs, and, getting involved with your community and asking questions and borrowing their stuff and, kind of getting a fit and all that. First of all, I raced triathlons for, again, it was 14 or 16 years on a road bike before I invested in a tri bike. And for the first probably 4 years of me having a tri bike, I couldn't quite get it dialed in. It wasn't an automatic like I thought was going to make me faster. It didn't happen like that, like I was told. And I actually I didn't like a triathlon bike until I got my first tri bike in 2009. And it wasn't until 2014 when I got the Trek Speed Concept that I actually felt like, okay, I finally found the bike for me. It fit me. It was comfortable. I felt good on it. I felt fast on it. I felt like I could run well afterwards. And so just because a tri bikes work for some people doesn't mean it works for everyone. And I think, going back to your question, what is the best value bike out there? The value of the bike has to do with what the frame is made out of and what the components are. And so you can get a decent frame that carbon, from what I know, is probably the most expensive. So if you don't get a carbon frame and you get more of an aluminum frame or steel, that's going to be less expensive.
And
but
heavier.
It's going to, and what?
It's heavier, depends on the, yeah.
It's going to be heavier. I think more important than what components and what type of frame you get, what it's made out of, is getting the bike fit. I think that's an investment you need to do, is get a bike fit. Even if you keep your current road bike, be sure to invest in a bike fit, because the comfort is number one over, I think, anything else.
Well, I want to add on to that because I replaced my seat this year on the trainer, on the bike, on my bike, but it's on a trainer right now. And I've had to make a couple of adjustments, and I've gone in to get a couple of adjustments on my back and my hips because it's not right yet. And I think if you have a poor bike fit, it's going to throw off the mechanics of your entire body. And you're going to have some imbalances. You're going to have some injuries because maybe not right away, but your body's going to adapt to your different posture. And if you're not aligned correctly with your hips, your lower back, your reach, where you are in the aero bars, you're going to have some physical issues later. So get that bike fit now because you want to be healthy. And if mechanically your body is healthy, you're going to do better in the run. But if you have a bad bike fit, or if you just kind of eyeball it and go, oh, this feels okay, you could be off a couple millimeters and really mess up a knee alignment or a back alignment. And I'm going back in right now on Friday to get one more adjustment because I've had issues the last couple of weeks, and I just made a fix to my seat a couple days ago, and it made a difference. So I'm a little more experienced with my bike fit. I know it's where it should be, but I'm still making some minor adjustments, and I know what I'm doing. So bike fit, pay the price, get fit correctly.
Yeah, and I want to add two other things. If you're racing on a flat course and you tend to ride flat, then definitely get the tri-bike. If you're going to be competing on a hilly course, stick with your road bike. That's going to be fine. Also, when it comes to bike material, when it comes to like popular brands like Cervelo, Trek, Felt, Cannondale, if you were looking at those four brands, carbon is carbon. I don't think any carbon frame, they're not using any different types of carbon on each of the bikes. And if all the bikes had those electronic shifters, I can't think of the name because I don't have them. If all of them had Di2, top of the brand shifters, and they were all carbon, and they all cost, let's just say $10,000, the one that you should get is the one that's going to be most comfortable and the one that's going to fit you, because the fit will be different depending on the brand of the bike.
It's crazy. Yeah, true. Bike fits.
Yeah, so it's hard, I can't say exactly what brand is going to be the most cost effective for you, but just give you some tips on what you're looking for when you're looking for a tri-bike.
Mm-hmm. And when you do,
I think I even have a video on YouTube about buying your first bike.
And what was the bullet points of that one?
I brought out my mountain bike, not the mountain bike I started on 30 years ago, but I talked about a mountain bike, a tri-bike, and a road bike because I've used all three in races. Uh-huh. So I discussed exactly what I just talked about. I discussed components, I discussed aerodynamics, and ultimately tri-bike, road bike, mountain bike, whatever fits you, go for it, especially if you're kind of just new getting into the sport.
Excellent.
You learn by experience.
Oh, totally. Just start. That's that way you have something to work with. Well, I think we worked with a number of good questions and topics today, and hope you found value in this podcast. So with that, we hope you can join us in the T2 Endurance Club. Check us out on endurancehour.com. If you haven't got a plan yet, we've got plenty to choose from, whether your skill level is beginner, intermediate, and the distances all there as well. And as well as our most popular program is How to Swim Faster in 30 Days. Check that one out. It's got 40 plus videos of Wendy coaching on the deck, demonstrating in the water. It's one of the most popular, I think the most popular training plan we have is How to Swim Faster in 30 Days. So it's got a calendar, videos. It's the best. It really is the best.
And on that note, if you send me a swim video for analysis, I will send you a 50% off code for any of our swim programs that we sell on Training Peaks.
And what's a swim video analysis? Look at our YouTube channel. We've got 200 of them there of athletes that we've coached that will send us video of them swimming in the pool, and then we do an analysis for them for free, and then we share it online. So if you want to see it, Endurance Hour's YouTube channel. With that, for Wendy Mader, I'm Dave Erickson. Thanks so much for listening this week. We hope you have a great week of training, racing, and recovery. We'll see you next time. Adios.
Adios.